How's it going, everybody? So today, I'm actually not sipping on some tonic herbs. I'm actually sipping on a delicious protein shake that I mixed up with some raw milk because it's actually not morning today. But make no mistake, I did have my top shelf tonic herb coffee this morning, just as I usually do. Today in this video, I want to lay out my basic principles to experience superhuman health in the most simplest and basic and easiest way. So most of y'all that have been following me for a long time already know what my basic principles are. And you know why these are the most important things to focus on if you really want to feel good and you want to cut through all the freaking bullshit that most people focus on that does not get them the results that they're actually seeking. Okay? Most of y'all know what I'm all about for feeling amazing. So I'm going to tell you the most important principles you can follow if you want unlimited energy all day, if you want to see real tangible health markers on your blood tests that you can actually measure, that are the only things that matter as far as your metabolic health are concerned. If you want to see these things improve, you will see these things improve following my diet principles. Because a lot of people, they focus on things that cannot be measured. Everything from the gut microbiome or gut health, which has no actual scientific definition, or things like longevity, right? Like you have no way of actually knowing for sure if what you're doing right now is actually going to make you live, 90, 100, or 120 years, okay? A lot of people do crazy things like protein restriction, extreme calorie starvation, and other things in order to try to make themselves live long due to a lot of these just reductionist science quacks out there that preach these very destructive longevity programs that haven't been proven in humans to actually do anything. And various other kind of protocols. People that talk about acid-alkaline balance, getting rid of mucus, detoxing, cellular karma, and all sorts of crazy nonsense that has nothing to do with actual health. And there's a lot of other things too. There's a lot of mumbo-jumbo out there about cancer, right? That people just have no real way of actually proving. Anyway, I'm going to teach you all the most important things that are going to help you skip past all that crazy nonsense, right? So anyway, first and foremost, okay, what is health? That's the most important thing for you to start with. If you cannot define the goal that it is you're trying to achieve, if you cannot define health, okay, clearly define it, okay? Clearly define it in a measurable, tangible way that we can actually see and measure using objective testing. If you can't do that, then it's going to be like jumping out into the ocean and starting to swim with no clear destination in your mind. You're just going to keep swimming and hope you get somewhere productive. Eventually you're going to drown, right? And it's going to be a waste of effort, time, and money. And for nothing. That's what most people do. They embark on this long journey, absorbing all the information in the world, all these people that just release new books over and over again, all saying the polar opposite. Have you ever noticed? I always pull this book out because it's what I have on handy. Dr. Mark Hyman. I used to love this guy, right? Because I felt like he was the highest expert in functional medicine, and he was the hope that everyone who was failed by the mainstream medical system would rely on, right? Mark Hyman, because he had the alternative solution, right? This guy literally, he has released a vegan book. He's released a high fat, eat fat, get thin book. It's basically a wannabe keto book. He's released a book called The Pegan Diet. That's literally like a mixture of paleo and vegan, like legit. He's released so many different freaking books, like it's literally just a cash grab. That's what all these people are doing now. Anyway, I'm going to help you all skip completely through that crap, okay? So what is health, first of all? Look, okay, first and foremost, if you have a disease of any kind, a condition, okay, solving that disease to the best of your ability is the first and most important thing. And the type of nutrition program and supplement program you might be following to resolve a disease might be way more strict and probably way more basic and simple, but way different than the type of program and the kind of principles and allowances that you would be living by once you've solved the disease and then you're just trying to optimize health, right? So for me, I had extreme health problems when I first started in 2012. Intestinal disease, extreme anxiety and panic disorder, panic attacks all the time, as well as psoriasis, like this crazy skin condition, and various other things. I had fatty liver disease at first, and prediabetes and other crap, even though I was technically in a healthy body mass index or BMI at the time, right? That was like 2012. Anyway, I went on this crazy health journey, acquired all the knowledge, did all the diets, every single diet, tried every supplement there is, research from all the highest freaking experts in the field, mostly these days the scientists and academics pioneering the research. Eventually, I solved all my health problems and then started, in 2018 when I realized, I'm finally healthy, optimizing things so that I can have unlimited energy and crap. The first thing is if you have an autoimmune disease, lots of people, especially the mainstream, will tell you that there's no cure, it's unsolvable, that you're doomed, that you're a victim, and you're going to need medications and all this crazy shit and surgery, or there's no hope for you. But in reality, 9 times out of 10, provided it's not a genetic deformity like maybe Down syndrome or you were born without arms or something, right? Or you're born blind. 9 times out of 10, if it's a condition you had later in life, even something like type 1 diabetes, I know people who have mostly resolved it, but still have issues with their insulin every now and then. Those things might actually have answers, right? So finding that is the first thing. But that can become a trap because I worked with clients and things who we solved their condition suddenly and they were healthy, but they're still addicted to feeling like they have health problems and feeling like they're broken and need fixing. And so they couldn't accept that they're finally healthy at that point and can move on from the wild goose chase, the wild, wild west of health and healing, right? If you look at someone like Vegetable Police, right? That's a person that people tell me I should go and take advice from, which I think is funny because I've been following him since he started his channel in 2014 when I first became vegan, which I'm not vegan anymore. I'm actually eat almost exclusively meat these days, actually. That guy is basically hypochondriac. And always these people are like, I found the health solution. All my problems are solved. And then suddenly they turn around. And they're like, oh no, actually, that wasn't it. That wasn't the solution. I was actually sick, and all my claims I was wrong. Here's a new solution. That's the pattern with him, with Vigil Police, Frank Tefano, and these other people. So, anyway, once you've solved your health condition, okay, then you can focus on cultivating energy, cultivating robustness in your body, robustness in your mind, building your lifestyle and things like that. Okay, because a lot of people, they get so obsessed with fixing their health problems, they remain on a spinning wheel, a rat on a spinning wheel, getting nowhere. I call that the nirvana of health, where they're just like stuck in this endless cycle of, oh, I'm broken. Where's the fix? What's the supplement or the diet or whatever that can do. So anyway, solving the health condition is the first thing. Then after that, eating a diet and living a lifestyle that optimizes your blood triglyceride levels, your hemoglobin A1C, fasting insulin, and glucose tolerance. Okay, basically, living a lifestyle and eating a diet that is that's putting your blood glucose readings and insulin and whatnot into the healthy range. Obviously, blood pressure. Of course, that the ranges for that are going to depend on the clinic that's being tested. They can kind of vary a lot. But keeping your blood pressure below, 140 over 90 or something, right? I'd say is because so many things can influence blood pressure. It's really not that cut and dry. And then what else? I know there's some I'm missing. Oh, well, obviously body fat percentage, right? For males, I would say keeping your body fat percentage in between 10 to 14%. Maybe more like 10 to 16% is probably good. And for females, I would say keeping your body fat percentage between 18 to 25%, roughly speaking. And it's going to depend on the person and various other aspects and if a female's pregnant or not and other things in your age. But those would be the health markers that you should focus on if you don't have any health conditions and you just want to be healthy and live a long time. Or after you've already if you had an autoimmune disease or you had an illness, whether it's diabetes, cancer, fibromyalgia, lupus, like psoriasis like I had, colitis or Crohn's disease or an intestinal issue like I had back in the day that I don't have now, or anything of that nature, right? A lot of these problems people say are unsolvable, don't have a cure, you're going to die, you're doomed, whatever. Reality is most of those things can be addressed through nutrition, lifestyle, and targeted supplement protocols. Usually, though, it's not something super complicated, right? Again, you follow someone like Dr. Mark Hyman or, some of these other people, Dr. Mercola, God forbid you follow his advice, then they're going to try to sell you a bunch of supplements and crap that you don't need. But for most people, it's as simple as removing the foods they're intolerant to. In the case of autoimmune diseases and things, it's usually a severe food intolerance. And in the case of metabolic disease, let's say you have cancer, let's say you have heart disease, or even, easier to agree on would be something like type 2 diabetes. Generally speaking, those are conditions that are metabolic in nature. And for anyone who needs references or resources that they want, my sources or whatever, just send me a text or whatever, send me a freaking comment or whatever on the video or a DM on my Instagram at Coach Wolfgang VL. And I'll be happy to send you resources or sources or anything like that. But essentially those big three, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, okay? They have their source is metabolic, right? It has to do with glucose partitioning and reactive oxygen damage, okay? Especially in regards to something like cancer. It's pretty well known most carcinogens or things that are deemed carcinogenic, which, you could make the case that anything is potentially carcinogenic, right? Which in reality, whether something's a carcinogen or not, doesn't really guarantee it's going to really do any damage. You have to be susceptible to it, which is where the terrain theory kind of comes into play. If your environment is, if your bodily environment is that which allows these things to flourish in your system, then things like carcinogens and cancer and the sun and all these other things and germs and stuff are going to do a lot more damage to you. Whereas if you do what I talk about, and I'm going to explain here in a bit, and you build your terrain or your bodily environment, or you make your immune system and all these other things robust and hostile to diseases, robust and hostile to germs and infections, and robust and hostile to, anything that could potentially contribute to cancer or whatever, then chances are you're going to live long, prosper, and be healthy. So, reactive oxygen species, right? Essentially, you can think of it as, molecules in your body that can damage healthy cells. Let's just put it that way to make it simple, right? Two ways that you can kind of offset reactive oxygen species. The first one is preventing these molecules from being created. So that means minimizing refined sugar, refined grains, and high glycemic load carbohydrates. So not glycemic index, glycemic load, which takes into account the speed at which your blood sugar is risen, how long it takes for that blood sugar to kind of like be relieved from your system, combined with the total amount of glucose or carbohydrates that are in that particular food, which of course is going to change depending on the combinations of foods you eat and individual genetics. Genetic factors actually completely change that altogether. They've done twin studies where they actually show two different people can have a completely different two different set of twins can have a completely different glycemic response to the same exact food with the same exact quantity. So, and there's other things that you need to take into account for genetics too. Genetics are actually a lot more impactful than previously I guess given them credit for. I just feel like most people use genetics as a scapegoat, especially in regards to things like health and diseases. I'm not going to get into my own history, but doctors damn near, when I was a child, almost noceboed the crap out of me, saying I have some genetic issue that is going to make me be in a hospital my whole life and all this crazy shit. And I proved them completely wrong for show. Where was I going with that? Genetic factors make a huge difference. So there's a recent, I guess you can say, data review by Greg Nuckols on the webpage Stronger by Science, where he goes over all the literature on basic metabolic rate and calorie restriction and body composition. And basically, the literature, if you really look through it, it'd take you about an hour or more, but essentially suggests that there can be up to an 800 calorie difference in basic metabolic rate, the amount of calories you burn at rest each day, between two individuals with the same exact body composition, the same height, the same weight, okay, and roughly the same lean mass, but not exactly the same lean mass. And so, it's not that calories in versus calories out don't matter, but it's that genetic factors play a role. And it's not as black and white as just saying, oh, your BMI is this or that, therefore you are healthy or you're not healthy, or, your height and weight is, you're like 5'10" and 200 pounds, therefore you have to eat this much calories to lose weight. It's not like that at all. So anyway, luckily we have intervention trials and things amongst different people, different genetics and whatnot, that kind of show roughly the same results and outcomes based on the same principles or changes. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video to become healthy. So again, to make it simple, start off by, if you have a disease of any kind, autoimmune illness, type 2 diabetes, even type 1 diabetes, heart disease or cancer, that should be your main priority. You should put all your resources, time, and energy into solving that problem. A lot of people make the mistake of just relying on one doctor or a team of doctors or whatever, and just going on with the normal life and just letting, mainstream medicine or an alternative doctor or whatever do their thing for them. But in reality, if your life is on the line and you have a serious health condition, you should be reading all the fucking books on that subject as you can. Get really educated on it, because you put 20 different doctors in the same room that all graduated from the same exact schools with the same level of education, PhD in medicine or whatever it might be. And you ask them, what is the cause of this disease, or how do I treat this disease? Even if they're using pharmaceuticals and they're just medically minded medical doctors, they'll all have different treatment programs and have different ideas and theories, a lot of which are going to be the complete opposite. There's going to be people that think certain nutrition programs matter, some that think that they don't, some that think that veganism is the way, some that think that keto is the way, some that think... And so you better put all your resources into studying for yourself, or else you're just going to be leaving it up to chance, even though you think, oh, this person knows everything because they have a degree or they have a medical coat or whatever. All I'm saying is you better research, and, because if you don't, if that person you're relying on does not have the answers, and your diagnosis is like deadly, you could die, and then like none of that shit would matter. Okay, and it's like, anyway. So yeah, and that's what I did, even though my diagnosis wasn't deadly. It felt like I was dying because I had panic attacks every couple hours at the time, and couldn't breathe because my intestine was so full of undigestible plant matter, and my skin was just like a mixture of itchiness and just extreme irritation. It was terrible. But I solved all that because I went through that trial and error program of like deep research, looking at what worked for other people, and then trying it myself. And these days I've had many people who have sought out my information and asked me for, consultations and things, and they've found very similar improvements with my program. So after that, it's, after you solve those issues, it's going to be, making sure metabolic factors are on check, and then just building robustness, energy, etc. So here we go. So once you have solved your health issues and your conditions, right? Now what do? All right, well, check it out. The base of your program, meat, okay? 100% animal meat, muscle meat, okay? Okay, let's actually just lay out the program, okay? Eat meat, eat organs, okay? Not desiccated organ supplements, just fresh organs, okay? Preferably just liver, okay? Liver and meat, okay? Eat meat, eat organs, okay? Eat fruit, provided you're on a carbohydrate type of diet, because there's a lot of people, myself included, who can fast an entire day, eat, some carbohydrates when I finally do eat, and train 4 hours at a time during the fasted window, and only eat one meal at like 10 p.m. before I go to bed. And I actually feel way better than ever, and I've won 2 gold medals training that way. Most people, though, they're like, oh no, I need carbs every 2 hours to sustain energy. That's a myth. That's not how biology works. Your body can actually produce up to 500 grams of glucose or more endogenously from free fatty acids, the glycerol backbone of triglycerides, pyruvate via the Cori cycle, and certain amino acids, provided you're in a state of starvation. Okay, but the body doesn't just turn protein into sugar. Okay, it preferentially, first and foremost, prioritizes fatty acid molecules at first. So anyway, the base of your diet should be meat, and then of course you get some organs here and there for things like vitamin B1, folate, and vitamin A. Retinol, which is not the same thing as beta-carotene. If you think you're getting all your vitamin A needs met from plants and carrots and sweet potatoes, you're sadly mistaken. Beta-carotene is not a reliable source of vitamin A if you want to prevent deficiencies. So that's the necessities right there. Mostly just the muscle meat, preferably from ruminant animals, okay? And then organs, and then fruit if you'd like, and then tonic herbs on top of that. And the category of tonic herbs is broad. You could consider something like yerba mate. In my opinion, it is sort of a tonic herb. And I would say Camellia sinensis, basically the basic tea plant, right? Like green tea, white tea, black tea, all come from the same plant. I would say that could potentially be a good caffeinated source of a plant source that has tonifying properties in a way. And so I'll explain what tonic herbs are here in a bit. I've made videos about it, but a lot of people haven't seen all my videos. So you could read the book Health Beyond Danger by Ron Teagarden or whatever. He has many different incarnations of that same book, but it's a good primer on what tonic herbs are all about from a Chinese medicine perspective put into a Western mind frame. Yeah, so, and then of course, anything on top of this kind of program, right? Meat, organs, fruit, tonic herbs, is going to be depending upon your own needs and tolerances. If you can consume black rice, purple rice, red rice, quinoa, stuff like that, and certain beans and stuff, like by all means, go ahead. It's just I would not make that a huge part of your diet. I would say that should be a supplement on top of mostly meat, because that's the first thing that's most important and supplying you with the majority of all your body needs. And we're going to explain why here in a bit. The other thing is, if you are trying to be healthy and you've already resolved your diseases, and you're not lifting weights and working on getting stronger, right? You're trying to add a little bit of weight to your movements over time in the 3 to maybe 12 rep range, I would say primarily. Probably 3 to 8 in my opinion, but whatever. If you're not lifting weights and adding weight over time, if you're not actively trying to increase your strength to body weight ratio, okay? And if you're not engaging in some form of high intensity cardiovascular activity, maybe, 2 times a week at minimum, and you're also not trying to maintain a low intensity activity type of lifestyle or some walking long distances or something each week, then you're missing a huge part of like health, okay, and longevity. Beyond the weightlifting and the diet, the other thing is what I would call mental and emotional alchemy, okay? And that basically involves some sort of philosophy that takes care of your stressful thought patterns, your whatever trauma, which is a stupid word coming from someone who had a lot and overcame all that, right? Whatever pain, trauma, whatever nonsense, stress that you deal with and you blame on other people or your lifestyle or money situation or whatever. Mental and emotional alchemy is about molding your mind and your thoughts and being a deliberate thinker and deliberate feeler and learning how to transmute your internal energy, your emotions and thoughts from any kind of negativity and trending it more in the direction of a positive, optimistic, and productive light, okay? So we'll get into all of this here in this video. Now, this video would probably be 4 hours long if I went deep into all of these things. But I want to make this video kind of like an all-encompassing type of video so that I can just, if you really want to know my philosophy, you can just watch this video. And then anything you want me to go deeper on, you can put down in the comments, hey, I want to hear more about that. Can you do a dedicated video on that? And that's what I'll do. The thing is, I can't just make one video about one subject without explaining the other things. This is why it's hard for me to make content these days, because it's layers and layers, and if you don't understand one layer, then you're not going to be able to really understand the subject at all. right? And that's the problem with most of these fucking gurus on YouTube that it's like soundbite information, 10 minutes long. So anyway, meat, animal protein. So many reasons why it should be the base of your program. The first one is that there are books upon books. I always recommend these books. No one fucking reads them. Detailing cultures and civilizations, okay, who survived on almost nothing but animal meat, animal protein for decades and for generations even, with no nutrient deficiencies documented or proven or anything like that, outside of vegan propaganda that digs up newer fossils or something and wrongfully associates the modern diets these cultures have been indoctrinated into with the health outcomes or whatever, and mixes it up with their meat-based diet from back in the day when they were actually doing so. Like the Inuits or like the Maasai, for example. A lot of the information people talk about with the Maasai claiming, oh, they have the same amount of heart disease as modern humans in America. It's like, well, you're using data from when they are eating cornmeal and vegetable oils already, and sugar got put in the food supply, you know? And the same goes for a lot of the other crap. Like a lot of the information vegans use on like the Okinawan longevity diet with the sweet potatoes, they were taking the information from a period, I don't remember, I think it was World War II. Okay, don't quote me on that. Whatever. But it was during a war on the island of Okinawa. The enemy army was occupying their island and consuming all their animals, and I think they killed all their animals actually. And all that they were doing caloric restriction and eating mostly sweet potatoes because they were starving. They're experiencing a famine created by the war. But yeah, and then they happen to live, over 100 years, the same that all of their generations did before that, not because of the fucking famine, but because of the other foods and things they're eating previously. It just so happened that vegans take a small sample of their diet from that period where they were experiencing the famine induced by the war. So a lot of propaganda out there. But anyway, cultures that have survived on almost exclusively meat for long periods of time, no nutrient deficiencies. Nutrient deficiencies are a modern creation, and I have a whole video playlist. Look at my playlist, okay? And you'll find I have one on RDIs, why the government recommend daily intake of nutrients is dumb, nutrient deficiencies, and why, as long as you're eating enough meat and liver and whatnot, you shouldn't be worrying about it. The book Vitamania by Catherine Price explains it pretty well, that when we never had cases of nutrient deficiencies really until the polishing and refining of white rice, creating berry, and some of these other ones too, right? It was a refining of foods, and then once we started to identify nutrient deficiencies from refined foods, a lot of the food manufacturers and supplement companies and drug manufacturers, they started to market junk foods as health foods by supplementing them with vitamins. Okay, like there was like a King vitamin. Was that a cereal or something where it had all your daily vitamins and minerals, and people started to get iron overload and other nutrient toxicity symptoms that are exclusively caused by these supplemented refined frankenfoods, right? But anyway, vitamin deficiencies, the main reason why you hear all this shit kind of propagated these days is because, number one, the majority of society doesn't really eat that much meat. There's NHANES data, food survey data, showing the majority of Americans for the past 2 decades get most of their calories from breads and any kind of meat that they eat. First of all, white meat chicken is a primary source of protein, first and foremost, in the top 10 food sources. Saturated fats coming from cheese, mostly from pizza and other kind of junk foods that include cheese on it. but it's mostly refined grain products that are in the top 10 food groups that Americans are eating, getting their calories from. Like, that's been shown with food survey data. So to think like, oh, I need to get 100% of all my daily nutrients according to the government, like, that's just blanket shit that's never been proven, and it's being given to a wide amount of people in our society, so that they can survive on their refined food diet, essentially. But anyway, the people that so not only do we have these cultures that have been eating nothing but meat for all these years, decades, and things. You can read more about that if you can find the book Nourishing Diets by Sally Fullen, but I'm noticing it seems to have been taken off of mainstream storefronts for some reason. Or Weston Price's Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. All right, but that's a really deep read. But yeah, that'll explain everything you need to know. Humans don't eat a variety of foods. They don't need a variety of foods. For thousands of years, we have survived on very few staple foods in our environment, right? For some people, it's potatoes and tubers. For some people, it was tree bark and insects. This idea that you need a variety of foods to be healthy is not in alignment with human evolution. And if it was, we would have died a long-ass time ago. The idea that you need all these damn vitamins and minerals, it's never been proven. Most nutrient deficiencies, they're things like feeding tube studies where humans have been kind of locked into a hospital and they had their parts of their intestine removed and they were fed like an artificial refined feeding kind of supplement, right? Like that has protein and nutrients. And what they find is if they don't include, like, for example, an omega-3 was found out this way. They gave them like corn oil or whatever, and they developed what they identified as an omega-3 deficiency. And so they just changed the oil out to something with more omega-3, like soybean oil or something. And suddenly these deficiency symptoms went away. This was not because, someone living in the free world who was only eating red meat or something somehow developed a deficiency. No. Almost all these nutrient deficiency syndromes, okay, they were discovered when a large group of society switched over to mostly eating refined foods. And if you notice, the only foods that are mandatory to be fortified, okay, actually vitamin fortification, adding these vitamins and minerals to foods is now mandatory. If you notice, the only foods that have that are breakfast cereals that are marketed towards kids. It's like candy that's marketed as a healthy breakfast to kids, which is disgustingly evil. Literally just sugar and refined grains and vegetable oils with a bunch of molecules that have been deemed carcinogens, not that it matters, as well as vitamins and minerals and other crap. Those are the first thing. That's where the majority of Americans get most of their vitamins and minerals from. Freaking cereals, okay, that are fortified with artificial nutrients. Also, white rice, right? Rice is like fortified with B1, thiamine, all the B vitamins, iron, etc. Okay. Refined foods are the only things that are mandatory to be fortified. And you know why? Because vitamin deficiencies never really were a thing, a big deal, until these foods were getting refined and crap and introduced and being relied upon as a primary food source. So that's something to think about. People think, if I eat nothing but meat, I'm going to develop a freaking deficiency. And I'm not telling you to eat nothing but meat. I'm just saying there are, even in modern times, hundreds of thousands of people now. Of course, you won't find it unless you actually search for it. Facebook communities, Facebook groups, obviously tons of YouTube channels that have these people. Reddit communities, and there were forums back in the day when forums were a thing, of people eating nothing but meat, okay? Nothing but meat. and they were lived fine for decades, had families, all this stuff. A lot of people recovered from extreme disease states eating nothing but meat. You know why? Because it's not so much what you're lacking in your diet, but it's what you are eating that is damaging your body and causing these diseases. So if you remove the damaging foods and then you eat mostly the nourishing foods that serve as a building block of your body, like meat, for example, and organs and some fruit and whatnot, guess what? You don't have any more diseases, right? You start healing, and you start to build your energy and your robustness again, because you remove the damaging compounds that most society think are fucking healthy. You know what I'm saying? Or that they rely on and they know that is unhealthy. It's mostly the refined fucking carbohydrates and the oils, the omega-6 oils, really. And hydrogenated oils, which are now just renamed mono and diglycerides, but they've been banned from the food supply under the name of hydrogenated oils and partially. So anyway, where was I going with that? Damn it. So, anyway, if so many people can eat almost like nothing but freaking red meat, okay, for decades, and resolve all the diseases and not develop any deficiencies, anecdotally it tells you a lot. Okay, anecdotally it tells you a lot. So the other thing, vitamin C. Okay, so vitamin C. Just eat some fruit if you're worried about vitamin C. For me, I've been eating almost exclusively meat with a little bit of fruit here and there during certain periods, as well as tonic herbs, since November 2018. So it's been almost 4 years now, has it been? Something like that, yeah. But yeah, I'm not telling people to eat nothing but meat. I'm just saying, like, that is where you're going to get, that is your multivitamin and literally your livelihood, okay? So, besides this nutrient density, right, because you get the majority of your nutrients anyway if you plug it in a chronometer by eating your body weight in grams of your ideal body weight in grams of protein from whole meat sources. You'll find it in that. Beyond that, we have organs, right? Preferentially liver, just a little bit, maybe 2 ounces a week, to get whatever you're not getting from the muscle meat, right? And then on top of that, fruit. So fruit is going to contain the vitamin C. It's going to be very hydrating, especially in the summertime. Vitamin B1, folate, and some of these trace minerals, magnesium, and anything you can't get from your ideal body weight in grams of protein from meat, you can get from fruit. And then if you're really worried about fiber, which you shouldn't be, you can get that from fruit as well. And the high water content combined with the fiber, that's going to be all you need to stay regular, for show. But most people find, as long as their sodium intake is high enough and their fat intake is high enough to lubricate the colon, that they don't run into any kind of fiber deficiency symptoms. I have a whole fucking video playlist about fiber and probiotics, where it's an hour long and has timestamps. I explain very thoroughly this idea that you need to eat fiber, or that you need probiotics or prebiotics, or this idea that the gut microbiome is important. I completely obliterated that in those videos. So if you're not too fucking lazy, right, and brainwashed, go fucking watch that video. Or you can just read the book. Well, it's an extremist book, and there's a lot of bullshit in it, but there's a book called The Fiber Menace that talks quite a bit about that. But it was really a profiting campaign that now has gone out of control and been taken as truth, right? Again, they found, fiber and all this crap. So then they started marketing Metamucil. They started adding fiber into junk foods, trying to make them healthier. They are like, refined foods are unhealthy because you remove the fiber and the vitamins. So guess what? Just add them back in after you refine them. Unfortunately, in intervention trials, you do not see improvements in health from added fiber. You do see improvements in health when people eat a mostly whole food diet, though, but it's not the fiber that's causing it. Okay? It's pretty interesting, actually. So, what else? Yeah. So, I'd rather y'all just watch those videos because I'm getting really, I'm honestly getting tired and bored of actually even making this video. Because I just have said this all the same shit over and over again. I'm tired of repeating it. Because, yeah. All right. Tonic herbs, okay? Tonic herbs, the main importance of them is when you already have the building blocks for your body, right? So protein, the amino acids in protein are the building blocks for your immune system, glutathione, superoxide dismutase. These are your body's primary endogenous antioxidants, okay? You don't need to eat fucking antioxidants in your diet. Your body creates them internally. And if you've ever heard of N-acetylcysteine, it's a supplement that has been under controversy recently. Literally, doctors use it to help with certain pharmaceutical poisoning that helps you get over drug addictions and things they use it for. Cigarette smoking withdrawals, as well as immune deficiency syndromes and severe infections that we can't name, right? If we want our videos promoted on the platform. N-acetylcysteine, also known as NAC. That is a supplement used. And what it does in the body, it's a precursor to glutathione. Well, guess what? You get cysteine, which is what N-acetylcysteine is kind of made from protein, okay? And the vegan people will tell you that cysteine is inflammatory and all this crazy shit. The fact is, if you eat enough animal foods and then you get the vitamin B12 and folate from the liver and whatever fruit and things you're eating, those are the freaking cofactors that combine together to create glutathione, which is what your body uses to heal from reactive oxygen species, right? What we were talking about earlier, the damaging compounds that create cancer and other things, and an inflammation in the body, which is a healing response. It's in response to the damage from ROS, or reactive oxygen species, free radical damage, and also helping you with infectious diseases and things, right? So, yeah, most of your immune system is built from protein, okay? And the vitamins and minerals you get from animal flesh, as well as organs, liver in particular. And then vitamin C and these other things, like get them from fruit if you need to. Obviously, the other things, muscle tissue is very important. Past the age of 65, the leading cause of death is hip fractures and side effects, comorbidities that kind of can be created from being hospitalized with hip fractures. People go into comas, they get a severe edema that can be life-threatening, heart failure after medical intervention, all sorts of crazy things. And that was actually how Dr. Atkins reportedly died, right, with all the controversy surrounding it. Was he slipped on some ice, some fell, and then he experienced extreme brain swelling and edema and then heart failure inside of the doctor's. I think it was a couple months that he was in a coma before he died. So anyway, how do you avoid hip fractures? A couple things, okay? So muscle tone is one of the leading correlating factors with longevity past the age of 80. Also grip strength and bone mineral density. The way that you prevent bone fractures, so if you do fall, increasing your bone mineral density. Protein actually increases the absorption of calcium and the efficiency and utilization of calcium. Secondarily, consuming dairy or bones, not bone broth, but bones, okay, from like small fish and things like that, or a bone meal supplement would be a good idea. If you can tolerate dairy, I recommend it. Obviously, magnesium plays a role as well. But strength training, heavy strength training, okay? 80% of your 1 rep max, okay, or more, done for sufficient enough volume to stimulate bone growth. Those are the basic principles shown in intervention trials to maximize the stimulation of bone mineral density over time. And you also need to be eating in a caloric surplus and eating enough protein and minerals to stimulate that. But most people, they're not eating enough protein, they're not eating enough calories, their body's in a catabolic state, and they're scared of lifting heavy because they've been noceboed by stupid freaking doctors that don't fucking lift, like Bob and Brad and these other fucks. Right, so if you want real information from real professionals that rehab people from injuries, train old, elderly people, and they're elite level powerlifters, Dr. Austin Baraki and Dr. Feigenbaum. They are Jordan Feigenbaum. I'm saying his last name wrong, but whatever. Barbell medicine. That's where I would go for lifting advice and the scientific evidence surrounding recovery, adaptation, injuries, and all these other things. But their nutrition advice and health advice, I'm not a fan of. It's very biased and very mainstream medical. Anyway, so strength training is important for that reason. Okay, protein is important for that reason. You also burn way more calories when your protein intake is high. Calories from protein has never been shown in an intervention trial to actually contribute to fat mass on the body. In fact, the opposite. Excess calories from a surplus of protein beyond your minimum needs has been shown to increase body weight via lean mass, if anything. There are actually studies that show sedentary Americans who are eating on average 60 grams of protein per day. When they double their protein intake, they gain something like 3 to 6 kilograms of lean mass over the course of like 3 months without doing any weight training or any activity at all, and still doing the same sedentary activities. So that sounds crazy. But I've actually seen this with clients who just simply up their protein and keep doing the same shit. Eating more protein is a game changer. And anybody who does not, who thinks that this is bullshit, and they're like, oh no, I could just eat 80 grams, I could just eat half my body weight in grams of protein and be perfectly fine. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. You are completely wrong. Like, you are barking down the wrong tree. And I would not want to be you once I hit 55 or 60. You're going to be one of those people who can hardly even freaking walk on vacation with your family without like getting tired and feeling achy and crying. Okay, and that's I don't like talking like that, but that's a sad reality. You need to be eating your ideal body weight in grams of protein. Okay, that's all there is to it. And if you eat it from whole animal foods, you'll also get the majority of the nutrients you need to survive and feel amazing. Okay, so it's a double whammy. You get all your micronutrients as well as your macronutrients to survive from your ideal body weight in grams of protein from animal flesh, right? And then anything you think you need beyond that, get it from fruit. And then if you need to eat non-starchy veg, go for it. But if you have gas and intestinal issues, you probably want to just stick to the fruit and the meat and the organs instead. There's nothing that you really need in non-starchy veg. There's nothing you need, but it can be beneficial for some people. So, Anyway, weight training, super important for bone mineral density, for preventing injuries, for rehabbing injuries. I've rehabbed people with knee replacements, MCL tears, severed femur. I've rehabbed people with spinal injuries, all sorts of things with basic barbell strength training. Okay, deadlifts, yeah, regular barbell deadlifts, conventional deadlifts, the thing that people are so scared of. That's how you fix people. That's how you heal people. Okay? Of course, just don't go crazy. You got to know how to balance adaptation and recovery, which most people just go ham. You know what I'm saying? They go to failure. They go too heavy, all this stuff, or they don't go heavy enough, right? Or they don't go close enough to failure. So they're not progressing and then wondering why they're still weak and fragile and hurt. Building the tolerance of your body to handle more stress makes your stressful activities less painful and stressful over time. Strength training only hurts in the beginning because your body's not used to it. As long as you're not training like a dummy, right, going too heavy, too close to failure, too much of the time, too soon, you'll be fine. Okay, you actually become healthier and stronger and less injury prone over time. But most people, okay, that are new to all this stuff, they're eating way too little protein. They are getting way too little animal-based nutrients in their system. They're eating too much indigestible fibers and plant matter that doesn't really contribute anything to their health. What is it about non-starchy veg and plant foods that improve your triglyceride levels, improve your hemoglobin A1C, that improve your blood pressure and blood glucose over time? There's really nothing that's been proven in intervention trials besides fiber and basically displacing unhealthy foods, okay? But there's no actual intervention trial showing plant foods do anything magical to those biomarkers of health. And I have an intervention trial, 12-month intervention trial that measures blood levels at baseline and then every 2 months leading to the end of the study that pits up an animal-based diet that's actually very high in sodium, and they're allowed to eat as much calories as they want every day, against the Ornish diet, the Zone diet, and then basically the DASH diet. And the animal-based diet, it was really the Atkins diet at the time, and they had a dietitian on call and gave and whatnot, nutrition counseling to help. They actually had 3 times the improvements in blood pressure, blood glucose levels, hemoglobin A1C specifically, blood, and then HDL and body weight as well, compared to those other ones who were on a calorically restricted diet, which is crazy. Anyway, I'm not telling people to eat an Atkins diet or to eat like low carb or keto or anything like that. I'm just stating principles and evidence and my reasoning behind it. I remember where I was going with that. I'm just basically saying, look, if you want to eat fucking plants, do it. You know what I'm saying? But don't force yourself to eat plant foods because you think there's something magical about it. It's never been shown. And if you need more like real evidence, watch my video explaining gut health, probiotics, fiber, and all that, and nutrient intake and all that crap in my playlist. So weight training and protein also is going to help to regulate your blood sugar levels. The more muscle mass you have, the higher your tolerance for glycogen and glucose, the more carbohydrates you can tolerate and things like that, and the lower the glycemic response for your so-called genetic individuality, as we mentioned earlier. And you can structure your weight training program in a way that can also give your body a sort of high-intensity interval training type response. A lot of people think that the only way to improve your cardio is to go running or do, long steady-state cardio or running or jogging or some kind of high-intensity interval HIIT circuit. The fact is, weight training, right, within the hypertrophy ranges, right, sets of 6 to up to 30, right, with maybe, 30 to 120 seconds rest or some shit like that, or like 2 minutes rest maybe, right? You can easily get a hypertrophy effect for muscle growth. You can get somewhat of a strength effect in those rep ranges, as well as a cardiovascular effect that is very similar to what you would get from a hour of kind of tempo running and shit. So there's a lot of benefits that you can get if you structure your weight training program appropriately. And then obviously the mental benefits are profound. So yeah, weight training is going to help improve your triglycerides because you're going to be getting into a better body fat percentage. You're going to be using up a lot of the glycogen and whatever liver fat might be stored in the liver. The way that you get rid of fatty liver disease and insulin problems is, so usually fatty liver disease, insulin problems, and stuff like that, they're caused by a surplus of stored energy. You're storing more energy than you're using, and it gets to the point where you get an overflux of triglycerides and fat stored in your body, and you can offset that by using it up and then giving your body a reason to break itself down, which is what strength training and cardiovascular training and a lower energy diet will do. Lower energy meaning less added fats, like low added fats and low added carbohydrates, right? So moderating your carbohydrate intake to your current level of metabolic health, as well as your fitness level and your activity level, is important. So yeah, and you get a lot of like mental benefits, mood boosting benefits, all sorts of things from doing this. So high intensity interval training or some kind of cardiovascular training, just be more overall active in and out of your normal lifestyle. On days you're not weight training, do cardio. Don't be scared of it killing your muscle gains or whatever. That's fucking stupid. Become more robust and more fit and more in shape, and you'll be good. Another thing. So tonic herbs, you can cater towards whatever it is you need in your life. The great thing about tonic herbs is they clear a lot of boxes. They check a lot of boxes. So something like ginseng, for example, Panax red ginseng. First of all, there's a lot of stupid suppliers. There's some that claim to be the best out there, which is not, a good quality ginseng you should be able to feel within the first 2 to 3 hours or less. Usually within the first hour of taking, even a raw powder if you make it right, you'll feel it kick in within the first hour, usually. If you don't, then you probably didn't get the good brand. Even this Kongjong Shang one or whatever that is claimed to be the best Korean ginseng on the planet. That one, no. I took that one. I was like, damn, I can't believe I wasted my money. This shit is not legit at all. It's like a black gel substance. That's not real. I don't know what is in it, but it's not ginseng. But anyway, good quality ginseng checks a lot of boxes. It's a good example of what a tonic herb is supposed to do. It increases your focus. It increases your mental sharpness. It increases your energy in the short term. It improves your body's ability to recover from stress and also handle more stress and whatnot. It increases your endurance. It can improve your relaxation and sleep. And it can improve your immunity and your ability to fight off infections and other things. I've actually not had a stuffy nose or anything like that in the last 4 months since I started taking it. But then again, I usually only get sick maybe once a year, if even that, since I started my animal-based nutrition routine strictly in 2018. So anyway, that's a good example of a tonic herb. I don't think ashwagandha is a good one. A lot of people claim that it's a tonic herb or an adaptogen. I don't think so. I'd steer clear of it. Other examples could be gelatinized maca, only gelatinized, not raw. Gelatinized maca. What else? Rhodiola, cordyceps, reishi mushroom. Those are just examples, right? But you can ask me questions in the comments for specific recommendations for different kind of like needs, and I'll explain. Yeah. So yeah, tonic herbs are like the icing on the cake. What most people are looking for in supplements and nutrition programs is like getting an edge in life, right? Having more energy, having more focus, more wakefulness, more motivation, shit like that. You don't get that from, switching to vegan diet. You might get it from keto or just eating more of the nutrients your body needs or whatever. But essentially, the best thing you can do if you want that short-term magic pill is going to be tonic herbs. Like, I know people who completely transformed their health eating shit. They just ate lots of just junk and just kind of moderately healthy, but lots of junk. And they just added tonic herbs on top and some exercise too. And I know this sounds crazy, but tonic herbs, they suddenly were significantly healthier. Less colds and sickness and allergy symptoms went away. Sleep improved, digestion improved, and then their overall health improved. A lot can be done from tonic herbs. This is why I talk about these things, right? So, So the next thing kind of on the list is going to be mental and emotional alchemy. So there's a lot of ways you can go about it. If you want the real shit, my recommendation would be to start off with this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It has if you get the unedited original version, it has a chapter on sexual transmutation and semen retention. For a lot of people, I think should read that chapter because that's a huge lifestyle factor that's draining your energy. Is you're spending too much of your time, focus, and energy on sex and short-term gratification, simple pleasures in life. It completely rots people's brains and destroys them. And of course, I indulge in stuff of that nature with real humans, but it's important. But I used to be way bad. I used to consume my entire life. Okay, these days I just leave it to the weekends. So big improvement on my behalf. But most people, they benefit from that. But it goes into detail on how simple kind of mastering of your mind and your mentality and your thoughts can not just add money to the bank, even though that's what this book claims to be about. No. It's about being rich in your friendships, your love life, relationships, your passion, your purpose. It talks about having a chief aim in life and then guiding the rest of your life from your purpose. If you follow the steps in this book, your depression and mental illness and things like that is going to be the first thing that dissipates. But the thing is, you won't believe in it at first. You won't feel it at first. It's going to take effort and feel unnatural at first. But if you employ the strategies in this book, you will see the changes. You'll start to see people coming into your life that reflect your thoughts and affirmations and things. You will see your career changing in accordance to your thoughts. Your moods changing in accordance to your thoughts. The biggest problem people have, though, is they see something like this and think, oh, that's bullshit. It's magical thinking. And then their life is just going to be a rehash of the same shit that they've constantly been thinking and expecting. It's time that you start to take conscious control of things and read this book. People, they don't have that kind of maturity to be like, oh, wait, I'm causing my successes and my failures? No, they want to blame all their failures on other people and outside circumstances and then blame their successes on who they are. It's crazy. But if you're a Christian, you could basically do the same shit that this book talks about, but you can use God and religion as basically a uniform or an outfit that basically does the same thing, right? Or a vehicle, I guess, right? Because belief in God and stuff like that, it serves a similar purpose if your belief in God and religion is functional, but most people it's not. For most people, it's a superiority complex or, whatever. Form of comfort, not really something that helps empower people a lot of times. Another book, Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. This is more of a practical-minded, scientific-minded type book, but also delves in the supernatural. And it basically just explains, it has case history after case history of this doctor and clients that he's consulted with, using affirmations and things to change different problems they've had in their life. So this one's a pretty good book. For me, though, I do prefer Neville Goddard's teachings. The Power of Awareness is a really good one. But if you really just want the shortest book that can have the most impact on your life, the book Feeling is a Secret is pristine. So, another one would be The Kabbalion. That's a very comprehensive book that's claimed to be from Hermes and Hermes Trismegistus or what have you from like ancient Egypt and whatnot, and have roots in kind of like the Egyptian gods type. But 7 Hermetic Principles, All is Mind, As Above, So Below, stuff like that, right? It's just saying the same thing as what you'll find in these other books I mentioned. And for someone who just thinks all that shit's bullshit, just read Tony Robbins' Unlimited Power or whatever. Just read that book, and you'd be all right, But the biggest thing is that your following, you're eating a diet that empowers your body. You are taking tonic herbs that empowers your energy, your heart, your soul, your lifestyle, and you're reading these types of whatever you want to call them, self-improvement books or new age books or whatever. But the books that you're reading are giving you tools that you can use to guide your mind and your life and everything towards what you want, right? To empower you, okay? If you check all these boxes and the strength training and stuff, right? The book Think and Grow Rich will help you find a passion, a purpose, whatever. Help whatever career you are engaging in become way more successful. This basically is everything, right? Even your relationships and your love life will be improved or transformed from reading, these books, Think and Grow Rich, Power of Subconscious Mind. A lot of people, it's just they have their thoughts in bad places, and then they get bad fruits from that, So get your mind right, and life will follow. At least that's how I feel. So this is not by any means in-depth and detailed on each subject. I spent way too much time talking about nutrition, disease. I was wanting to just dive into well-being and what you can do after you heal. But whatever. I always just spend all my time justifying my nutrition program. So I don't know, man. If anyone has any suggestions on how to get these thoughts out in a better way, because I just feel like there's a lot of evidence and supporting information I didn't really get out here, right? People are just gonna be like, "Hey, just write an outline, idiot." Like, oh, all right, you're not wrong, but I prefer to just freeball everything, right? So anyway, hope that's helped. I'm gonna finish drinking my protein drink, right? It's not vegan protein, right? I should be restricting my protein, right? Ooh, there's no nutrients that I need in a protein drink, right? Where's the fiber? Where's the vitamin C, right? I should be eating whole plant foods. Where's the phytonutrients? Where's the phytonutrients? They've never been shown to do jack shit in general outside of specific ones. The only phytonutrients that matter are the ones that have significant, profound effects that you can measure or feel noticeably. And that's like in tonic herbs, right? Ginsenosides from Panax ginseng. Those are great examples of phytonutrients that actually do shit. But eating a bunch of fucking broccoli, because Rhonda Patrick said broccoli sprouts, and the freaking isothionates and all their crap, indole 3 carbonyl compounds, claiming that shit's going to actually improve your fucking health? No, get the fuck out of here, okay? Anyway, fuck phytonutrients outside of the ones that matter. If it ain't ginseng or tonic herbs, then fuck it, right? Or if it isn't epicatechin gallate, if it isn't curcumin, right? I'm just kidding. If it isn't tyrosol extracted from rhodiola rosea, all right, we're done here. If it isn't anthocyanin extracted from, all right, we're done. All right, let me know in the comments what you want to hear more details on. I'll talk to you all next time.